What's going on, everybody? Rip the Rapper here. Got my boy Funk with me. Thank you for tuning in to Rapping Wisdom Podcast. And we're gonna get into today's topic is gonna be being cheap, just cheap in general. Right? We're gonna discuss about cheap, the benefits, and then and the things that go wrong with it. You get what I mean? Like so.
In what specific aspect though? Like so
Well, I'm just gonna be. It's gonna be a little bit of more business, obviously, in my experience, and what the cost is. You know, it what do you say? Being cheap is costly.
yeah, so let's say we have like a scenario to where you have another guy has a company, he wraps, cars and stuff like that, but he's doing it at a lesser value,
Mm-hmm.
right? And his quality isn't as good as a person who decides to charge a little bit more, but he gets the job done. But let's say he's charging like 15 to 20% less than you, right? How does that affect you?
Well, I mean, it affects me in a way that I mean, he's charging like I was. This is kind of weird how to talk about it because I'm obviously Rip the Rapper came from me rapping, all right. And the whole, if you look at the name of the podcast, is rapping. That's like car rapping. I rap buildings, cars, things like that. So I get this a lot all the time as a small business. Even though I do a lot of big things, you deal with other shops, other competition, and they always, like there's some guys that would charge what they're worth, right? They're beginning, they're not that experienced, so they charge like 15, 20%. That's kind of the come up, right? They have to charge a little less. Then once they build in that skill set value, and you can see all the cars here, some of the stuff that I wrap, buildings, helicopter,
Yeah, I remember
planes,
this one.
and wall murals. We're on scaffolding. We're setting up these big jobs. These run a lot of money. I even give you an example here. All right, that job was probably over 25,000. That's the Giant Foods. All right, we did that. This job here was probably over 6-7 grand, and we're knocking these out in a day or two. In maybe 4 days. So that's a lot of money to make. But I wasn't a part of a lot of these things just yet until the years of skill set that I developed over time. That I started at the bottom. I started at that low end. But I always try to keep it like market value, and so to speak. Or I said, hey, I'm not that experienced. Can I do your job? And I can build that rapport, whatever, with all these clients, and I have pictures now and things I can use a portfolio. But the guy's cheap. That really, it's hard to say because you can kind of tell he's in his own lane. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
He doesn't come to me. Now it's different if he's charging what I'm charging and he's screwing customers' cars up. That happens too. So being cheap, this is the crazy part about it, right? I'll give you an example. If you go to Target, right? Everything that you see on the shelf, right? Except for all this stuff here, they have exactly maybe a sale going on with $100, right? Do you take the $100, right? You say, yeah, take $100 up to the counter. Are you gonna say, I only got $20, and you're gonna leave out of there? You're not gonna haggle with them.
Yeah.
Hey, exactly what the hell they're asking.
Yeah. So
That's what it is. So then why would you go anywhere else? Because they can like control and be, you know what I mean? Like saying they're getting something in return for it. And this is the biggest mistake that people do, especially with small business. Get it? I do make great amount of money because I do a great amount of work. My value came up because of the type of skill set and that I exposed myself to be more valuable in my brand, my name, and because I was able to wrap a building, a car, a boat. You get what I mean? And that came because I never charged anything lesser than what I am. I kept it just fair enough, and then I charged a little more because I became better, faster, more efficient. And I'm handling, as a contractor, I handle a lot of companies, a lot of big names. Combined, these couple names, they're billionaires. A billion-dollar company. So combined. So, anyways, what I'm saying is that guy's in his own lane. I'm not worried about it. He's coming up. So that shouldn't have a play because everybody would know because of my portfolio to show them. But yes, I have other guys that claim the same price as I do, and then other shops like, or excuse me, that can actually do great work, but they're cheap.
so
I'm like, well, why? But then the guy again, they what it is when you go down on price. I'll give you an example of the car industry, right? I mean, the rap industry. You have material costs at a certain price, certain brands, 3M, Avery, Allon. Just an example. There's a lot more out there. There's new brands coming out that are very cheap. And one of the actual companies that gets a lot of ridicule is Tech Wrap, Vivid. It's cheaper material because it's actually hard to work with. This is what I mean. Cheap can be difficult. Cheap can be expensive. Rip that thing off your car. That thing's ripping off your paint, leaving glue behind, tearing up. It doesn't even stretch as well. It doesn't hold as well. It's a different type of You have cast and calendar. So it's just a different type of way of doing things. It's very aggressive to put it on. And this is why 3M, they have a formula, the way they do things. And they're more expensive, but you get what you pay for.
Gotcha.
So if I'm being cheap, right? If the guy comes to me and wants all this experience work for less, so you want me to do the same thing for less money? And I'm already at this point in my life. I get that a lot. I'm like, so I have to cut on something. Cut costs on something, right? Materials. I got to make my money. There's no way possible, knowing my experience and knowing the industry long enough and knowing how to do it, that it's going to cost you. You know?
So, question. So you're saying is like you get what you pay for. You're
Yeah.
talking about a cheap material.
Yeah, because it's only price. I can only grab what I can out of a price if you want to get it done.
Yeah, having a person say that you're too expensive. How does
Like that a lot.
How does that make you feel?
I'm glad I'm expensive. You know, like I can't lower myself. I have a standard.
I know, but why are you expensive?
Because I'm experienced. I have a lot to offer you. I have a lot of knowledge. I have speed. I have quality. I have other shops I do this for. I keep a lot of business in business. All right. And not to get in myself a little bit, but just telling you who I am and what I am. I wish I would have had all that stuff, the checks and everything. You can see, you know, a visual of how much millions I bring in for these companies. You know, how much they profit off of me.
So
Okay.
you're expensive, right? So for like a person to say, man, like you are expensive.
But
But the only reason why you are expensive is because quality, you have connects to other companies. So if they needed something else, you're able to still provide that service, whatever the case is. But the most important thing is that you take care of your customers, right? And these are customers that you have for years, right?
7, 8 years easily.
Right. And then when another person comes in and they don't understand that, you know, you're expensive for a reason, is because what you're putting on their cars is not cheap material that can just
It's
get
expensive material that you have to know how to work with. And on top of that, so you telling me right now, if you're a shop, right, and I come to you and I come to you and say, hey, give me for this, but I want it for this price, and you like agree to it, right? So then you really can't. You can warranty certain things, right? But if you want a problem fixed, I'm like, look, I already gave you such a good deal. Why are you coming to me for a problem? Knowing that I told you it might be a problem because I can only do so much with the material and things you're working with, right? So when you pay for something, so like, why is Bentley worth what they are? What is Rolls Royce worth? You know what I mean? Like all these brands, why they worth so much money? But you can also go back to the individual saying, hey, I paid for this. I paid top dollar. I didn't ask for no discount. I didn't even get a discount. I want this fixed. Guess what I'm going to say? You're right, sir. I agree with you 100%. You treated me respectfully. You paid what I asked. You didn't haggle me. You were an easy person to deal with, but now there's a problem. I'm going to fix that. My customer service means a lot because that's what people are paying for. You know, like I get it. I will give a discount. I treat military, police, other shops, you know, and I do give discounts. I give back a lot to community. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm not gonna lower my standards and my experience down because of one individual because they think that's what I'm worth. Because they want the coolest thing. They'll brag about it. Oh, I got this guy to do it, but look what I paid for it. Ha ha ha. You're like, they're paying top dollar for shoes, jackets. I mean, there's some jackets that are more than worth than a car wrap.
Yeah.
And you walk around that in the club in front of other people, bro. Like, we know you're broke. Calm down. You don't need to flex like that. But this is where cheap gets costly. It costs you. You can't talk to somebody because they're gonna throw it in your face like you threw it in their face. No, you didn't pay for that.
So let's make it like a little bit more simple, right?
Stop being cheap. That's it. Stop being cheap.
Have you ever bought like fake shoes before?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So you can tell the difference
Yeah, you can tell the
between
difference. Exactly.
fake shoes that have literally no cushion in them. You know, the material is spongy, it has no give, and then you buy a real pair of shoes and it's
That was
quality.
crafted differently with
Yeah.
the leather and the stitching and all that. Yes, and the sole, everything's put together nicely. Everything
So-
fits, and I'm pretty sure that the cheap person doesn't have the proper setup for that. They can't afford it. They don't have employees. They don't have no structure. They just sell it to you and they're out of business. Cheap people go out of business.
So-
you know, like it's just the way it is. So when you have quality, you have the right setup. You have customer service. Yeah, no problem at all. We'll exchange it. Here you go. Here's another shoe.
Yeah. So when a person says you're too expensive, I would probably ask that person, well, are your shoes fake?
I just be like,
and-
why? On top of that, I'm like, you know, I get certain things maybe you can get a discount on or have to pay that much. But unfortunately, realistically, when this industry first started, it wasn't cheap at all. This is a very top notch thing. Like it was, you had to pay some money to get a car wrap done. especially when you're doing custom print and stuff like that. It doesn't come cheap at all. Now, because it's flooded, industry's flooding, that everybody's trying to do it from home and cutting costs. You're not when you're a business, you got to understand.
And stuff
Yeah,
like
you
that.
got to understand overhead, employees, taxes, workers' comp. You got to understand a lot of things that fall into this. Running equipment, all these things, they take time and it costs money. Time is money, and you mix these in. The last thing you want to do is have your service you set up for a certain way for even certain clients. You want to bring in as much people as you can from everywhere, but really you're like a niche that only a certain amount of people are going to afford, and that's what you're targeting, and that's what you're going to focus on because it's better. You want to focus on the people that have the money to do this. You get what I mean? And when you're cheap, it just ruins everything. There's no benefit. There's nothing that comes out of that other than just say, hey, I got something at a discount, but that discount is costly at the end. You're going to pay for it. Whether you realize it or not, you're paying for it.
Yeah.
You literally just threw money down a drain to suffer at the end. How stupid is that? You're stupid as a consumer, as an individual, to go to any brand, any company to say, hey, give me a discount. I'm not paying for that. I'll go somewhere else. You're right. When they're cheap, that means they have no worth. They have no value. They're fucking shit up. They're going to fuck it up. They're going to fuck you up. You're going to leave with a fucking bad taste. And you're going to get pissed because you didn't want to spend just a little more to have that cushion enough and safety to be like, you know what, I have somewhere to go now. Now I have nothing. Now I threw my money. My car's all cut up, fucked up, broken in pieces. The guy didn't even use good materials, not sticking, or I can't glue it off. Now you're spending more to rip the thing off. You have to go to body shop to repair. So now your car's basically salvage vehicle. You got cut marks. Good luck selling that. Industry's flooded right now. Industry's flooded right now with these guys that are doing all that. And that's how I know, and that's why I do the proper steps to avoid talking to my client, my customer. This is what you get with me. This is what I am, how I am. And on top of that, I make all these billion-dollar companies and brands a lot of money, and I install some of the biggest things, especially in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, the DMV. Everybody knows me for that. That's why I drive around the cars that I do, and I market how I do, and I live how I live because I charge accordingly, and I should charge what I'm worth. I know I love myself enough, and I respect and I work hard, a lot, really, really hard, harder than most individuals on this damn planet to get to this level that I'm damned if you even care saying, oh, you're too expensive. You're right. It's. I would say you're too expensive than too cheap.
Yeah.
Right. I would say, you know what I mean? Like you see a pretty woman, oh, you're too pretty. Oh, you're too ugly. Which one sounds better, right? And they're both in a way you disrespect me, but you disrespect me pretty nicely. Thank you. You know that I'm worth it. You know that you can't afford me. Good luck. Go to the cheap. Stick with the cheap. Go stay at the bottom, and that way that's how you're gonna live, act, and that's what you're gonna get in return. I already been there, done that. I don't want to be part of it. Good luck. Point blank. Stop being cheap.